If you know me, you'll know that I absolutely love generic Autobots, or Autobots that don't get any form of media attention. And lately Hasbro's been absolutely weird as shit about the types of Autobots that they're willing to make. I mean, for shit's sake, they won't make Energon Wheeljack, but they will give us Autobot Jackpot, Slam Dance, and the goddamn Power Dashers. Yet here I am somehow getting shocked that we're getting a G1 style blaster in Kingdom. I honestly thought the last we'd ever see of him was in Titan's Return, when we got a chunkalicious taste of his bitchin' boombox mode, along with an added bonus of a whole goddamn computer or communication lab that could connect to other baseformers in the line-wide gimmick. Titan's Return Blaster was the second figure that I ever reviewed on my entire channel, and I honestly love the ever-loving shit out of him. He will always have a deep and cozy place in my heart, and I'm sure that absolutely nothing will ever be able to replace the magnificence of that figure or anything.
Oops! Are you sure about that?
You guys, I'm freaking out! Ah!
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Wonder what's filling in my cup.
So after having a mental breakdown in a public parking lot over finding a relevant transformer in a brick and mortar store, I decided to go on one last rant about distribution so I can get it out of the way and stop making people's ears bleed more than Mariah Carey singing "All I Want for Christmas is You" for the 17 trillionth time. I live in a small town called North Creek, New York. The Walmarts in my area are completely barren of anything that isn't just shelf-warming garbage 2 waves late or something I don't already have. Distribution in my area is so bad, I had to drive to a Walmart in fucking Ticonderoga just so I could find a Studio Series 86 sweep, and that was the only physical Transformer left in the whole damn store. After doing that, I just decided to say, fuck it. Let's check my target list 30 minutes away from where I live. At that point, I've been looking for Tigatron for about 3.5 months. And what do I find? Not only Tigatron, but fucking Kingdom Blaster! A figure that, as of this recording, only 2 other people on this entire platform even have. So let's get out and shout, ow! With War for Cybertron Kingdom Voyager class Blaster.
This is the comedy police! The joke's too funny!
I'm not going back to—
Yeah, for anyone saying that perfection doesn't exist, they obviously haven't been acquainted with this goddamn figure. This boombox makes Soundwave look like a sad excuse for a sound system. This thing is all shock and no bullshit. Look at the amount of sculpted and painted detail on this thing. From the perfectly sculpted volume knobs, painted in a nice crisp and glossy shade of black, to the 4 different speakers displayed on both the front and sides of this magnificent musical brick. The speakers on the side actually flip in, just to make things slightly more tune accurate if you like that. And this is the type of stupid detail that I can absolutely get behind if it makes it slightly more tune accurate. Normally, I absolutely despise when figures compromise themselves just for slightly more tune accuracy, but when they do it like this, that's what I'm looking for. I love the fact they went this hard on painting the little details that make all of the difference in the world. From the tiny little rectangular buttons, the buttons near the knob. Check out all the different individual areas of highlighted black on the front of this thing. I am so damn glad that they didn't just go down the tune accurate route to simplify it and come up with an excuse for lazy paint schemes. That Autobot logo on his yellow painted tape deck really puts the receptor on the perceptor. But the fact that the 2 halves of the handle have a really difficult time tabbing in is giving my OCD a pounding. This is because the legs can be a fiddly nightmare to line up during the transformation process back into boombox mode, due to the number of tabs with little to no clearance for things to fit into place. And that's really a downer, because shoving the legs back to the sides of the boombox mode is something that I want to be able to do with a ton of force like a 7-year-old yeeting the thing down the stairs. But you have to fiddle around with panels that don't quite line up the way that they should, unless you use an uncomfortable amount of force, or spend 20 minutes fiddling with it in order to get it there. Blaster actually comes with a Cassetticon or Cassettabot named Eject, who Hasbro made the genius-brained idea to make entirely out of clear plastic. Hooray! I'm sure this won't cause any problems. Good job, idiots. This figure is so small that I really wasn't thinking about animating it, but it's basically a retool of Siege, Frenzy, or Rumble. Oh, and also Silverbolt! Did I do the funny right? Blaster also comes with this sick looking sniper rifle that can also be used as a little antenna for the boombox mode, and I think this thing really manages to blend into both modes exceptionally well. Like, this is the type of gun that somebody as cool and calculated as Blaster would use. And you know what? You know what? I'm gonna say it. I think Blaster's way cooler than Soundwave. I mean, let's face it, Soundwave is a Megatron simp. He's a giant snitch who eavesdrops on everyone, versus a goddamn alpha Chad Blaster, who will definitely play his Kevin McLeod tracks at full volume late at night, much to the disdain of Optimus Prime, whose ears are currently bleeding. If I could describe the transformation on Kingdom Blaster, I would describe it as an act of engineering genius. I love the way the two halves of the handles split in half and swing around the back of the legs. The way the legs redistribute their mass is incredibly genius too, because it puts all of the weight in the area where it's needed. I love the way the arms accordion themselves out in 3 different directions, and pulling his head out in that extremely G1-esque head flip is an extremely satisfying thing to do. The robot mode you get out of this thing is just... oh my god. Holy shit. This is extremely perfect. That head sculpt is just absolute dynamite. It helps to really bring out that old-fashioned Diaclone feel that's also now licensed by Hasbro. I love the little earpieces on the side of his head that looks like a pair of headphones. It just really brings out that this guy's a sick-ass radio host and probably a super cool DJ. I love his baby blue eyes as well. I find that they're painted really well, and the silvery whitish helmet is... I don't know how to feel about it, honestly. It feels like it's painted a little bit too thin, and honestly, I wanted this to be like more of a silvery color than a white metallic color. Jesus Christ, I gotta stop nitpicking shit. I'm gonna turn into Perspective End. The painting on this thing is so much cleaner than the normal status quo of anything else that has come out of this line, that this thing honestly feels more like an officially licensed third-party masterpiece than anything else. The yellow paint on the tape deck of this thing is so glossy and thick. It looks like they put at least 3 layers on this thing and applied so much precision and care to it. That Autobot logo is so goddamn crisp too. I mean, honestly, it pops so hard it looks like a sticker. I swear to God, I thought it was one at first. The individually sculpted pointer finger on his right arm can also access this button, but unfortunately they took away the double-jointed elbows that came with Soundwave for some reason. Fucking cool, I guess. I don't really like how long they made the finger on this thing. They should have just made the elbows double-jointed instead of making this finger like 3 times longer than what it should be. But with all the goddamn perfection on this figure, that is an extremely nitpicky-ass nitpick. Now turn this thing around to the back. Look how fucking clean this is. No hollow parts, no kibble, no full parts, nothing. This is 1000% absolutely perfect. The proportions on this thing are so much more aerodynamic and clean than Netflix Soundwave. It honestly makes me question why the hell I paid $40 for that when I could pay $30 for something like this. The articulation is pretty much on the basic side. There's nothing really extravagant about it per se, but I'm honestly gonna give this thing a pass because it feels so stable and so well balanced that I can't complain about this thing having something as little as double-jointed elbows getting taken away. And now, I would like to demonstrate the difference between the joint on a $40 figure versus a joint on a $30 figure. Main release $30 retail figure. Store exclusive figure. Even though I know I am never, ever, ever, ever gonna be the first person to review a figure again, having Blaster as early as this is such a goddamn stroke of good luck that I've been waiting for. This is an absolute must-have figure if you're a fan of Transformers. Not if you're a fan of Blaster. If you're a fan of Transformers at all, you need this thing. Now can we get him in blue, please?